Good day, boxing fans. Friday night in France, South Africa's Roarke Knapp is up against it when he challenged the undefeated Frenchman Bakary Samake for the WBC Silver Super Welterweight or Junior Middleweight Championship. Does Roarke have a chance to upset the apple cart, or will the Frenchman Samake continue to extend his undefeated streak on his way to the top? Stick around and let's break down the fight. Bakary Samake is a tough, strong, muscular Frenchman. I can't find his height and reach, but he looks big for the weight as a junior middleweight. And he is 17-0 with 9 knockouts. When I looked at footage of him, looking at his earlier fights, he's got this ramrod, hard, straight left jab that he doesn't use often enough. And then he's got these textbook power punches, the left hook to the body, a left uppercut he throws, the right. It all comes over in perfect angles, and he looked a little bit stiff in that muscular upper body. And my first thought was he looks like a junior middleweight version of the British heavyweight Frank Bruno back in the years, the older fans among us will know. And then I watched more of the footage as he went on in his career. And you know, if you watch highlights of a fighter, you can easily be mistaken. But he has a common opponent with Roarke Knapp, and that's Ahmed Al-Moussaoui, also a Frenchman. Al-Moussaoui was here in South Africa. Roarke Knapp beat him on points. Right after that fight in France, he got beaten in points again by Samake. So Bakary Samake and Roarke Knapp has got this one opponent in common. Now, Samake, I can see he's progressed over the fights. His upper body movement is much better. His head movement is much better. But he is essentially sort of a stalking pressure fighter who uses his strength and his size to imposes himself on his opponent and moves his opponent backward. He likes putting his opponent in the corner. He likes putting his opponent on the ropes. And when he really cranks up those punches, he's very explosive. You know, he goes and he cranks up at left. He'll double with the left uppercut, left hook downstairs. Then he comes over the right. He lets fly with combinations, and he varies the punches nicely to the head and body. And he's accurate with his punches. He doesn't waste, you know, and he throws those punches. Why only 9 knockouts in his 17 wins? I have to wonder, because you know when he finishes his opponents, he does it in an impressive style. And he looks like a bigger puncher than his record indicates. I think, you know, he puts so much in his punches and he throws them so quickly. He puts his shoulder in, but the whole body doesn't turn with his shots. And I think that's what makes the knockout ratio not as high as you expect. But he can definitely punch. You know, he's not a powder puff puncher. Now, what are the gaps in Bakary Samake? I've watched this fight with Ahmed Al-Moussaoui, all 10 rounds of it. And what Samake doesn't like is if you move him backward. He's okay if he moves backward himself to give him space to punch. But if you move him backward and attack him, he doesn't like that. Samake, you know, in the instances where Al-Moussaoui attacked him, like he did in the Roarke Knapp fight against Knapp, Al-Moussaoui comes to fight and he let his hands go, punches and bunches, and he let rip on Samake, and he had Samake on the ropes. Samake doesn't punch back while you're shoe shining him. He doesn't punch with the punches. He covers up. He's got almost that Mayweather sideways Philly shell. He rolls under the punches. He slips some. He waits for the storm to stop, and then he works his way back into the fight. So if you open up on Samake, you can move him backward. You're going to have a chance if you can be a ring general enough to apply that through the fight. Now, Roarke Knapp, as we know, has had his ups and downs. 17 wins, 12 knockouts, 2 defeats, both of them by knockout, a draw, and then one fight that's been declared a no contest. Now, we know years ago, and there's still some highlight clips of that on YouTube, he was boxing in cruiser control against Cristiano and Dombassi. I was at that fight. I was at many of Roarke's fights, and he was well in control of the fight, and then in Dombassi nailed him with a right. He went down very heavily, It didn't look like he was going to get up, but he got up. And then he went down 2 more times in that fateful third round. And he went down 4 times in total. 3 of them was counted as a knockdown. The referee forgot about the free knockdown rule that was in effect. That's why it's been retroactively declared a no contest. But anyway, what played out that night, he took a frightful beating in that third round. How he got back up on his feet and how he saw out the round, only he will know. And, if a referee stopped it there at any stage in the third round, nobody would have complained. But he showed incredible heart and resilience to get through it. So Roarke Knapp, he's got heart. I can't say the other word here on YouTube. Well, I shouldn't, then you never know of algorithm. So that kid's got a big pair on him, and he survived that round, and he came back to pummel Ndombasi towards the end of the next round. And the fight was stopped in his favor, and of course it was reversed into a no contest years later. But even though he managed to get through it, he took a lot of punishment in that fight, and then he went on a very nice winning streak. He beat Al Moussaoui, as I mentioned. There's a Mexican who was a very awkward looking fighter. He looks completely shot, but he's a dangerous puncher, Dante Jordan. He outboxed Jordan nicely. The Polish guy, Przemysław Zisk, that's usually durable. He just blew away in a couple of rounds. So Knapp he's got stylistic versatility, which I like. He can box behind the jab. He can also go and fight. He can make it a brawl. I think he prefers fighting more than the rest. And then it all came unstuck 2 fights ago when he faced Jorge Garcia Perez, a sort of unheralded Mexican with a high knockout ratio, but no big names on his record. And third round's unlucky for Roarke. He got knocked out in the third round there. He got quite badly knocked out by Jorge Garcia Perez, who I believe is now a top-ranked fighter and has still been winning since then. But he got caught with a left hook, a short left hook, while he was in a crouch from a Mexican thrown like that. It was a sneaky left hook, and that caught him. And those two that knockout loss is quite a worrying thing against Jorge Garcia Perez. He came back with a win against the Filipino Cabal Quinto. But that was a guy that was more or less at the journeyman phase of his career, coming off a lot of inactivity, and you can see he was just there to give it a go and get paid. So Roarke stopped him, but so that's just to get back in the win column. Now against Bakary Samake, it's a tall order because he's fighting in France. Nobody's going to be for him except his corner, the referee, the judges. We're all going to be leaning towards Samake. As we know, fighting on the road is difficult, and it's a very dangerous fight for Roarke. But he's at the stage of his career, I guess, where you have to roll the dice. And the quality of opposition between Samake and Roarke Knapp is very, very similar. It's not like Samake has been fighting against a much better class of opponent. And I think both these guys, their best win was against Al Moussaoui. And so there's that. But, it's hard to shake the image of Roarke getting hurt so badly in a couple of his fights. And chins and jaws tend to not get better as the career goes on, They last for a long time sometimes, but sometimes if you suffer a brutal knockout. I'm thinking of Tommy Morrison, for instance, against Ray Mercer. Afterwards, the fighter tends to get hurt easier. Now, is that going to be the case of Roarke Knapp? I don't know. But if Bakary Samake catches him with one of those heavy lefts or the right and catches him and hurts him and knocks him out, I won't be surprised at all. That seems to be the general consensus of how the boxing pundits feel about this fight. They expect Samake to knock out Roarke Knapp. But Roarke, he's got talent, he's got quick hands, he can crack a bit, he can box, he can brawl. The thing is, the chin, not the greatest, the heart dragged him through it, and when he gets hurt, he's got a fighter's mentality. He doesn't hold, he doesn't get on his bicycle, he tries and fights through it. It got him out of there against Ndombasi, despite the referee's error. It didn't get him through against Jorge Garcia Perez, but it did get him through against Brandon Tyser in their rematch. So it's a roll of a dice with Roarke sometimes when things become awry. I think what Roarke must do in this fight, Roarke Knapp, he's got to swarm Bakary Samake, move him backward, put Samake with his back on the ropes, let rip over punches like Al Musawi did, but then don't stand there and let Bakary Samake set and fight back, move away. Roarke does have good movement in the sense that he steps around his opponent. So he's got to go out there, let these punches go, bang Bakary Samake, and be out of range. And then do the next attack and the next attack. What you mustn't do against Bakary Samake is let him dictate the fight. Let him put you on the ropes. He's got to stay out of a corner, out of the ropes. He mustn't let Samake fight at his controlled pace. Because once Samake goes and he stalks you, he sets himself, he maybe moves a bit back, lets you come forward, sets himself, and then he lets rip with those combinations. He's heavy on his left-hand side. It always starts with the left and then comes over with the right. So Roarke has got to watch what's coming in here from the left, because he's got a left uppercut, sort of a sweep, almost like Razor Roddock, downstairs, upstairs, or upstairs, downstairs, and that moves you into his right. He's very explosive and technique-wise sound with how he explodes on you. So if he dictates, then Roarke is going to have a very hard time, and he might go home somewhere earlier in the fight. What is going to happen? Now, we all know I support my South African fighters, but I also call it like I see it. As I've said, I can see, Roarke getting nailed and getting knocked out, because he has now happened to him before, and then it tends to happen easier than next time. It's a hard thing to come back, but if anybody has got the character to do it, it would be Roarke. He's a very nice kid, it's impossible not to root for him. But, I can see that happening, Bakary Samake just blowing him away. My gut feel tells me they will have a game plan. And one thing about Roarke, he's not going to go into a show and just try and call it in and clinch and hold to survive. He'll fight, might last a round, might last all 12 rounds, but he's going to come and fight. But, in the end, I think it's going to be a very good fight, well, as long as it lasts. But my gut feel tells me that Roarke is somehow going to survive this, and he's going to have his moments in the fight, but it is in France, and Samake is going to have a very hard fight like he had against Al Musawi, and I think Roarke will let those combinations rip, and I think his punches are more compact. So if he gets close to Samake, close enough, he's going to shoe shine him. And you don't know if Bakary Samake can take a big punch, because he hasn't fought any big punches for what I can tell. What if Roarke is not the biggest puncher in the game, but he can crack. There is some power in his shots. Well, what happens if he nails Samake on the chin? But in the end, I think you guys must tell me in the comment section, of course, who do you think wins and why do they win? And how do they win? Is it going to be Roarke Knapp or Bakary Samake? Tell me what you think. But in the end, I think Bakary Samake, Roarke is going to surprise people with a gritty effort, and I think he's going to put enough on Bakary Samake to somehow eke out the distance. But I think Samake is going to win this. It's going to be a gritty effort by Roarke, but I think Bakary Samake is going to win this on points. I think I've heard most people say Roarke is going to be knocked out by the Frenchman. I think he's going to last the distance in this, but I think in the end, Samake is going to be the winner at the end of the fight. Well, that's it from me. Good luck to Roarke Knapp. Prove me wrong, please. And until I see you guys again, remember to keep those hands up.